and welcome back to FPL Hub. This is a brand new show that we'll be bringing to you this week. This will be our first, hopefully, of many of Premier League review. Starting with this week's games, we've got a couple of new guests on the show tonight. We've got Ant and Rayan, who are about to introduce themselves. Ant, if you'd like to introduce yourself first, a bit about yourself and any your own channel that you've got, feel free to give it a shout out.
No, so cheers for having me on. It feels a bit like a job interview, this, doesn't it? But I'm a Leicester fan, go home and away doing match day content. Don't take myself too seriously, just here to have a bit of a good time.
Thank you. Over to you, Rayan.
I'm a Chelsea fan. I'm a Chelsea YouTuber as well, and yeah, just like to speak football, have a bit of banter, have a bit of fun, nothing too serious, but yeah, I'm happy to be on though, man.
Excellent, thank you. Thanks for joining us, really appreciate it. We did have a Liverpool fan who was supposed to be joining us, but needless to say, he jumped out at last minute, so no surprise there. But we'll leave that for the next show. Maybe we'll get one on for next time. Maybe too scared of us, who knows? So yeah, what we'll do, I thought, rather than just think, I am a United fan myself, just to make that clear in case anyone's unsure of that. And I am going to start with United, not because they're the best team and the top of the league, but simply because that's the order that they appeared in Match of the Day, and I figured it'd be a fair way to do it. So we'll kick off with United versus Newcastle. What's your thoughts on that, gents? Did you get to watch the game? Any particular players who stood out or anything to yourself?
I watched the game back on the highlights because I was at the Leicester game whilst it was going, but it was the script was already written that Ronaldo was going to steal the show in that game. Like, he did exactly what he was expecting to do. Newcastle, they gave more of a fight than I actually expected them to do, because they were in it for a long period, but ultimately we got your quality just came through. And I know Ronaldo's going to steal the show and stuff, but that fourth goal, the Lingard goal, the link up and stuff, that was absolutely brilliant. I thought that was the goal of the game. I know Bruno scored a screamer as well, but I think some questionable goalkeeping. I don't know if you've ever played pro clubs before, but it's like when the keeper dives about 10 seconds after the ball's gone in the back of the net. But it's like, you can't really fault you guys in that game. You were absolutely brilliant, deserves 3 points, and Ronaldo will get the headlines for it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the thing is, I was glad to see Newcastle give us a bit of a game in the first half, because it's not going to be home. We're not home and dry just because we've got Ronaldo in the team. I said in another cast the other week about the fact that Ronaldo isn't the whole of Man United. He's going to bring another dimension to it. He's going to bring a new angle and a new desire for the players as if they didn't need it themselves. But he's just going to new level of professionalism to his game, I think, and bring it to ours as well. But I think you're right. That fourth goal, it looks like people say Martial does nothing, but he just stepped over the ball. Pogba first, Martial with the dummy, Lingard with a slight touch to the right, and then just tucks it in behind the keeper. Great finish, really good. Obviously Pogba with another 2 assists, 7 in 4 games. That's currently a current record. De Bruyne has got the current Premier League record. I think it's 20 in a season. I think it is.
It's possibly ridiculous.
Yeah, so 34 games, we've only got to get another 14 assists, and Pogba's going to take that little mantle, and I think he should easily do that this season if he carries on with this level of performance.
The thing is with Pogba, the ability's never been in question. It's just now we're starting to see it on a more consistent basis. And I think having better players around him now than he's had for a long time at United is doing him the world of good. Having Bruno there, obviously now Ronaldo, Greenwood starting to really improve, Sancho. So it's a thing of a player like Pogba, he's world class in himself, but having all these players around him as well, he's just going to keep improving himself. And I went through a period where I didn't rate Pogba that highly a few years ago, but when you actually spend time to watch him play, he's just unplayable.
Yeah, he completely is. What's for Rayan?
Pogba, listen, as he said, his ability is just insane. Like some of his passes are just, it's insane. You know what I mean? So yeah, as he said, Pogba's ability is, I think, he's one of the best midfielders in the league when he's at his best. There's no doubt about it. It's just now he needs to do it consistently, and yeah, he just needs to show it more often. But if he does, then yeah, I think it'll be good because there's no doubt about his ability and his talent.
Yeah, it has got me excited about the season. I mean, I'm under no illusions it's over, but it's far from it. It's so far to go. You know, top of the league, but we've been there before. It happened last year, and then look how that ended up, sort of thing. So, but I know that we've got to keep bringing it every time now. You know, and not think that we've won the easy games. And I think that's what started in the first half. I mean, I saw when you saw Ronaldo walking out. We've got to talk about him just for a minute. When you saw Ronaldo walking out, I said to my wife, says he's nervous. Him, camera panned on him. He kind of did a big puff out sort of thing, and you thought he is nervous. He's taking it in, and it was good to see because no matter how good he is, whether he is the GOAT or Messi or whoever else, you know, he still had that nerves, and it was good to see that. And I think that,
I think as well, what probably adds to it is the way that the move came about of obviously turning down City to go to United.
Yeah,
I think he's put even more pressure on himself about sort of forcing the move away from Juventus.
Yeah.
So I think it's natural that he's going to feel nerves. But if I was a United fan, I'd be feeling more worried if he wasn't nervous because it would show he doesn't care. But he's clearly got that desire still to do well at United. So I don't think he's the final piece of the jigsaw because I still think your midfield is very, very questionable, I'll say.
Matic is too old, isn't he? Yeah.
But I think he's going to bring something that you can't buy, and that's that mentality of being there, done it, winning trophies, and that elite mentality. So I think it's a brilliant signing for you guys.
Yeah. Sorry, Ryan?
No, I'll be honest, I was very, very impressed with Ronaldo. I never thought his general play would be as good as that. But I mean, in general, I think he still looked technical and stuff like that. He still had a couple of the step overs and the runs he was making were very good. I mean, the first goal he scored, listen, that is a proper striker's run for the rebound. Before Greenwood even shot the ball, just about to shot the ball, Ronaldo already makes the run. So that's if he keeps doing that, then listen, he can bag.
You're right, and his mentality, because just behind him, when you watch it back, there was two other players. I think one of them was Sancho. I don't know who the other one was. Two United players. They didn't move. They didn't anticipate that like him, and he's going to bring that to them. I mean, Sancho's, I reckon he's had his best game so far for United. Still a long way to go, but he's certainly getting there. And Lingard's not finished. Moving on from United, because I could do that all night, and you guys would be sick of me already. Next game was Palace Tottenham. 3-0 to Palace. I can see us all smiling there. Where I was very happy as well. I'm not going to lie about that.
Tottenham have already won the league, though. Have you not seen their social medias over the last 3 weeks? But, the thing is, I've got a bit of a soft spot for Palace, and I don't particularly like Tottenham, so it was a brilliant result. And the thing is, it's not as if it was an undeserved result either. No. Palace were absolutely brilliant and fully deserved it. Conor Gallagher, what a player. I know he's on loan from Chelsea, but he's a player. If Chelsea don't want him next year, I really hope Leicester look at him. Obviously, he's almost that profile of a Leicester player, finding a young sort of up and coming player. But getting back to the game, just the way that Crystal Palace were just like so direct on the counter attack, and Zaha, he's one of those players. If you get him in the right mood, he's absolutely unplayable. Caused all sorts of problems. He did well to get Tanganga sent off as well because he was winding him up all game, and I think that's something with Zaha. You can't let him get in your head. And Tanganga, as well as he played in the Man City and game and up until this point in the season, I think Zaha was right in his ear from the first minute, and you could tell because he just didn't seem the same player.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I didn't. To be fair, I didn't notice that side of it. The first kind of I really noticed was the Tanganga, where when he went for Zaha in that tackle. When you look at it in slow motion, he proper went for his neck sort of thing as he jumped at him. And I think that's what obviously sparked Zaha off. It was definitely a yellow. And I think the referee managed it well. He could have sent them both off. You've seen it before. And it would have been a wrong decision, definitely. They both came at each other a little bit, but it was enough just to get a card, calm the game down. But Gallagher, what have you seen of Rayan? What have you seen of Gallagher then for Chelsea?
He hasn't really played too much for Chelsea, to be fair. He's played in pre-season and stuff. He hasn't really got a proper chance, but obviously there's potential there, and you know what I mean. He's got a good mix of work rate and what's it called. I think the runs he made as well, like he's willing to go forward as well. But I thought some of his tackles as well, like his work rate towards the end of the game and everything. I think he's got a good mix of that work rate, creativity, and he always bursts into the box as well, trying to create chances and stuff like that. He was the one who kind of won the penalty.
He was impressive. I was really impressed with him. I mean, I know Zaha got man of the match for his goal and assist, but I was ready to give it to Gallagher, definitely.
Yeah, I thought as well, Edouard, who came off the bench, obviously scored twice as well. He was very close to coming to Leicester at the start of the window. I know it was to the point of advanced negotiations because there was a fee agreed, but he chose Palace for game time and stuff. But he looks a player as well, doesn't he? Just
2 assists off the bench in your debut, and what was it? 20 seconds he was on the pitch. His second touch goal. Not a bad start, is it?
And the thing is, with a player like that at Palace, he's in the right kind of place where he is going to play each week and sort of develop. So he's at exactly the right club. So if I was a Crystal Palace fan, I'd be very excited with the season ahead.
Yeah, I think we just have to quickly touch on Spurs before we move on, because to me they didn't look at the races from the start, and I'm saying this genuinely. You know, Palace, I think Spurs probably thought we've got this in the bag, top of the league. He's wrong mentality approaching the game. I know Son was missing, but Kane looked like he was still suffering from the international games in terms of a little bit of fatigue and the early kickoff, that kind of thing. Kane had, I read somewhere that he had no touches or shots in the box at all. It was the no touches in the box that caught me out, and I just thought, well, you know, they really were not at the races. You know, even before they had a man sent off. That was Palace's game. I could not see Spurs winning that at all.
No, and I think with Kane, yeah, he might be fatigued, but his heart doesn't look in Tottenham at all. He doesn't want to be there, does he? And it's like, I know people on my channel take the piss out of me for always referring it back to Leicester, but when Mahrez was at Leicester and that last sort of 6 months where he just didn't want to be there, it was like you could see that there's a top player in there, but if your attitude's not there and you're not committed to the cause, you're wasting your time.
Yeah. Just moving on to Chelsea Villa. Oh, look at Ryan smiling. Look at that. He's ready. He's ready to go. He's got his pitch ready. He's like, yeah, okay. Got the papers. Off we go. Over to you, mate. You take the lead.
Yeah. We got the result, man. 3-0. The performance, I think, was decent. I think we were a bit sloppy in midfield, and you know what I mean, Saul's first game and stuff, I think it's going to take him a bit of time to adjust to the Premier League and the pace of the Premier League, because he was losing the ball quite a lot of times in them dangerous areas, which put us under pressure. But other than that,
took him off half time, didn't he?
Yeah, because you can tell that I think it's going to take him. It might take him a bit of time to adjust to the intensity, but I think the defense was really, really solid. Thiago Silva in particular, he ages like a. Listen, he doesn't age actually. Forget that, because he's been so good. Kovacic ran the show for me. I don't know if you guys saw his assist, but what an assist there! And overall, he played really, really well. And Lukaku, he's literally given us what we've been missing. Since
he's what Werner should have been, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, the first goal composed, and the second goal was just a pure finish. Just a pure finisher, just hit it back with his laces straight into the top corner. And yeah, overall, yeah, we got the result, man. 3-0.
With the result, yeah. I mean, didn't Mendy get man of the match? Because he made some cracking saves in the first half, didn't he?
I forgot to mention, and Mendy was very, very good. For me, if it wasn't for Mateo Kovacic, he's definitely been my man of the match. But yeah, he's proven to be one of the best goalkeepers in the league and in recent form. So
he didn't cost you that much either, did he?
20 mil. 25
for a goalkeeper, that's not a lot in this day and age, is it?
Yeah, so, especially when you're buying Kepa for 70 more, that's peanuts.
Well, less said about that, the better, I guess. But 90 million on 2 goalkeepers, and the one that's 70. Is he on the bench still? Has he made it to the bench yet?
Yeah, Kepa's on the bench. He's definitely our second choice. But hey, see, when it gets to penalty shootouts, he comes in handy. Right,
well, maybe Ollie should have tried that last year with our Hendo in the nets in the Europa League final. Anything you want to add on that, Ant, about the Chelsea game?
No, I didn't. If I'm completely honest, I didn't see a huge amount on it. So if I say anything about it, it's a bit disingenuous, but it's sort of the result you expect Chelsea to beat Villa.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as I say, it was another one of them where Palace turned up against Spurs, and it's fair to say that Villa turned up against Chelsea in that first half, The only thing I did want to ask about, if anybody knows about this, was Villa were not allowed to play Martinez or Buendia, but Chelsea got clearance for Thiago Silva.
I think it's about the problem was with the Brazilian FA, and instead of like I think the Argentinian FA cleared the players, but it was the Brazilian FA that there was a problem with.
Is that what it was?
But I think so. I could be chatting absolute rubbish, which is a high possibility. But
I just thought it was awful. I did feel sorry for Villa. That's all I could say. You know, not get all my excuses in for them but Lukaku, yeah, he's back and he's a different player, and it is frustrating as a United fan. But at the end of the day, it was right at the time for him to move on. He wasn't going to be that player if he just stayed. He knew he had to change it, and he went away, came back fresh, and he is definitely ready. I managed to put him in my fantasy team, so I could take it a little bit. Moving on, Arsenal Norwich. Relegation battle.
Relegation 6 point.
First of many. So, 1-0 to the Arsenal. Was a long time since we've heard that. Well, it was just first goal this season. After 3 games, so it's not where Arsenal expected to be at this time. But apparently, the manager, I forgot the manager's name now. His name's left my mind.
Arteta.
Yeah. He said it's been his best week in his career.
That sums it. They've beaten Norwich. Apparently, Ramsdale's the next David Seaman. Gabriel's Van Dijk. Tierney's going to be the next Roberto Carlos. And it's like, you've beaten Norwich, which, fair play to them, they did play relatively well. Like, you can't take that away from them, but they are such a reactionary fan base, aren't they? 1 week it's the worst players going on the pitch if they lose. The next week they're the best team in the world. But I think whatever happens with Arsenal, it's going to be a long-term project because they've brought some decent youth players. It's not going to happen overnight for them, whether they've got Arteta or not. And I personally don't think Arteta's the right man for the job, so I hope he stays as long as possible.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Give him the lifetime contract, like Rio said. Give him the contract, pen to paper, and it.
I thought that was about Ollie, weren't
it? Yeah.
But you can keep him as long as you want. I'm happy with him, me.
But no, I think with Arsenal, they're just. They shouldn't be as low in the table as they are.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't expect them to be competing sort of top 6, top 4.
No, I don't. I agree. They're definitely not going to this season. I mean, I have to, touch upon Norwich. I know it's Brandon Williams for United on loan, but I have to say he made some cracking saves. I mean, to be fair, I only watched Match of the Day, but from what I saw, his highlights, he blocked one off Pepe. He did another sliding tackle on somebody else. I thought he played quite well. I thought Norwich were unlucky, but I do think Arsenal shaved it from the highlights that I saw with the efforts that they made and the saves that Krul made, etc. So,
the thing with Norwich is we played them not this match week, the week before. They should have beaten us as well.
Right.
The thing is, they play good football and create chances.
Yeah.
Just they don't have the players to put the ball in the back of the net for the chances they create, which is ultimately why I think they'll go down. But the thing is, they'll have a go at a team like Arsenal. They won't fear them, which is why I think Arsenal probably, you see a lot of Arsenal fans saying think it'll be 2-3, 3-4-0. I never thought it would be that because, like, despite the fact Norwich do have their frailties, they're fearless in every game that they play.
Yeah. I mean, Pukki, obviously he was great in the league below, and he was all right when he first came to the Premier League a few years ago. But I'm just not sure he's going to make it in the Premier League, whether it's his sharpness or the defence are stronger in the Premier League, and he just needs that, or quicker, or I'm not sure. It might prove me wrong, but as you say, they've not really got the finisher. So
the thing is, with Pukki is in the Championship, he'll probably get 6-7 chances a game.
Yeah.
Then against worse keepers and stuff, defenders.
Don't shoot, you don't score, like.
Yeah, in the Premier League, you may get 2 chances a game if you're a striker, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I just think he's a solid Championship striker. He's not at that level of a Premier League striker.
Okay. Yeah. I think you're probably right on that. Anything you want to add on that, Ryan?
I don't really watch the game. Like I had the game open, but I was more watching the Man United game. But For
Well, don't blame
Arsenal,
me. Good choice.
yeah, for Arsenal though, another one for the goal of the season. So for the goal of the month, actually. So another contender. So that's what I got to say. Really.
Well, the Arsenal one, yeah, they finally got one, haven't they? Yeah, one goal. Shouldn't be much of a competition there. Leicester versus City. Over to you, Ant.
It's one of those games. It's like, it sounds weird to say, but it was so frustrating that we lost the game. And you look at the stats, Man City created chances as you would expect.
Yeah.
They dominated the ball, but we had our moments in that game where we really could have got something. Vardy had the ball in the back of the net, and I'm convinced it's onside. I know that
I think it was onside. Match of the day didn't say much about it apart from his knee was offside. It's like, well, show us.
Yeah, the angle they used, it's like, it wasn't, they used normally the typically square angle and stuff, VAR. It weren't. They were like looking at it sort of like that angle and stuff. And it's like, how are you ever going to gauge if he's on or offside or not?
They did draw the lines on because I didn't see all that going on.
No, they didn't draw the lines on either. But either way, I swear you're meant to give the advantage to the attacker this year.
Yeah.
And if it's a knee offside or whatever it is, but though, like, I know I'm going to sound bitter as anything now, those decisions don't go for you when you're playing against the bigger clubs. And Brendan Rodgers put it perfectly before we played the game, is to beat a team like Man City or one of the big clubs, you need a bit of luck and you need all of your players to have at least a 9 out of 10.
Right.
And we didn't really. I think Barnes was poor. Madison ghosted the game.
Barnes at the back, though.
He did, off a header. I think that's about all he did, though.
Right,
Carl Walker had a very comfortable afternoon with Harvey Barnes, which I think you've got to give Harvey Barnes a bit of sort of leeway. He's coming back from an injury sort of thing. Yeah. He needs those first couple of games. James Maddison, I don't know what's happened to him, honestly. Like,
is his head being turned to Arsenal?
Potentially, but even so, like, it's not as if he's not even putting a shift in.
He should be happy right now, thinking, I'm glad I'm not down there.
That's it. But it's like, I know he's just become a father as well. So if there's something going, like, if he's just tired from that, but it's not as if he's not working hard. It's just not going his way. And like, when we're trying to counterattack City, every time we got the ball to Maddison, he almost slowed it down instead of being that man who picks the ball up, ball in behind for Barnes, ball in behind for Vardy. He slowed it down, trying to play through them and with Tielemans, which that was frustrating. But it's one of those games, like, it's annoying that we lost it, but there was huge positives to take. And he looked he looked very lively, unlucky not to have scored. Vestergaard on debut, that was one of the best centre-back performances I've seen for a long time.
Right.
Body on the line, fearless, also leading the line. Like, with Siunchu, he's a very good centre-back if he's got the right partner next to him.
Right.
But he needs someone who's going to guide him through the game and be that leader. Yeah. And that's exactly what Vestergaard was. So there's positives to take. It's like, we've lost to Man City before, and I've just felt absolutely deflated and like that we've been played off the park. But I feel really like optimistic, and like, as weird as it sounds, it was our best performance of the season, despite the fact that we lost.
I thought you were unlucky. I mean, obviously, City did have some good chances, but I felt, I mean, again, I only watched the highlights. You were at the game, like, but it looked to me as though Leicester had their chance to at least get a point from it.
Yeah, I'd agree, and it's like Brendan Rodgers says, though, like, if you don't take your chances against these big teams, that your chances will be limited. You can't really moan at the end of it if you don't get something from the game.
Yeah. So, anything you want to add to that, Ryan?
I'll be honest with you, I didn't really watch the Leicester game like that, to be honest. So I can't really comment on it too much. But yeah, Man City, it did look like it wasn't easy for them, so they might be positive to take from Leicester. But either way, Leicester are a very good club. I respect them. I respect their manager. Like, I respect the way they run. So like, it's nothing to be ashamed of losing against Man City. But as if what Ant said is right, then yeah, it's good for Leicester that there's positives there.
Just frustration for, as you say, for Leicester when they feel that they had the chance, they didn't quite take it. Over to the next game, Watford Wolves. Wolves won this 2-0. Anybody want to kick off on that? I mean, there was a good save from Sissoko at 0-0, and Josh King just missed at 0-0 as well. And then Semedo was denied for Wolves with a good save at 0-0. So there was stuff happening, but it just never seemed to quite get over the line at first. And then obviously, one thing I would say is that Jimenez is looking sharper now. He's obviously had a long time out. He was unlucky against United with something, but you can see game by game his sharpness is getting little flicks. Diving header he was unlucky with, maybe a couple of seasons ago before his injury, he'd have probably put that in the back of the net. But obviously in the end they got there with the unlucky for Watford conceding the own goal, and then very unlucky, but it gave Wolves their first goal of the season. And Hwang Si-chan, I think that's the way you pronounce it, with his debut goal. So fair play to him as well.
I think with Wolves, they've been really unfortunate this season because they played Leicester opening day. How we won that game, I will never know. Yeah. Like the amount of chances they created was ridiculous. They played you, and realistically, you're very similar. How you guys won that game is absolutely madness. So they're playing good football, and it was just a matter of time until they picked up a win. And the thing is that they've got a new manager. They're transitioning it from a counter-attacking team to a team that's going to try and hold possession and stuff. It's going to take time, and they're going to need backing and stuff. I think the big thing for Wolves is just to fully back this new manager if they're going to try and change what they're doing. But in terms of Watford, I can't see them staying up, if I'm honest.
They've just not got it, really, have they? There was a couple. I'd say there was some chances where they could have potentially took the lead, but they definitely look like they're going to be the whipping boys this season, sort of thing. So,
if they do go down, I hope we can take Sarr off them. He looks a player.
Oh, Ismail Sarr, he was quality. I mean, United were heavily linked with him. Not this window, the window before. 35 million, something like that. But they wanted too much for him for the fact that he wasn't Premier League proven, sort of thing. But he was looking. He played us last season. I remember he looked really sharp then.
Yeah. We tried to sign him before. Watford signed him, but we couldn't. I think they wanted 20 million at the time, and Watford were willing to pay it, and we were like, that's a lot of money for a player that's not
proven. Yeah.
Because I know for you guys, 20 million's like not a lot of money, but it's all sort of relative to the clubs kind of thing. But for us, when we go out and get Jose Perez as that right winger, and then you see Sarr, it's just like it's painful to watch.
He's a quality player. So we've got Brentford, Brighton. Anybody get to watch any of the highlights of that or anything, or any of the game?
I did see the Brighton chairman was in the away end at Brighton and stuff, like proper getting involved and stuff. Like, I think that's absolutely quality.
So you want to see that from the Glazers? He doesn't even sit in the home end.
I saw some mad thing about the Glazers, but Leicester's owner, Top, has been to Old Trafford more times than the Glazers since we've been.
The Glazers have been twice, and the second time was this weekend when they bought them, and now it's. Is it the first of many? Yet to find out, but I can't see it at all. I mean, obviously Brentford, I think, we played them pre-season and they were looking like they were going to have a good season and not struggle, and they were going to, be first time they're in the league, sort of thing. They were going to do quite well. And but I just think, again, it's another team that's just been a bit unlucky. They've just not quite got there. They've got Ivan Toney, that Mbuambo, or I'm not quite sure how to pronounce his name, but and I think that they created chances. Very evenly matched game. Obviously very unlucky with a 90th minute goal off Trossard. Did feel sorry for Brentford, but even Ivan Toney unlucky with his 40-yard shot, which would have been absolute quality if it went in. And then Brambo probably should have been on the score sheet 2 or 3 times throughout the game. But
I think. Thing is with Brentford, it's you say they're unlucky and stuff. And this was like us in our first season up from a Championship, from a Premier League. That game just reminded me of that. Both teams like really even game and then losing it late on. Yeah. And it's a habit that Brentford can't get into. They need into losing back-to-back games. So I think for them it's frustrating to lose so late on from the Trossard goal. But it's just don't make a habit of it. Need to bounce back kind of thing, because it's as easy as it is to sort of have a winning mentality. Well, I say easy, as important as it is to have a winning mentality and go on to runs of winning the games at the top of the table. When you're in a relegation battle, you cannot afford to lose back-to-back games.
No. Anything you want to add to that, Ryan? Did you get to see any of the highlights or anything? Or What's your thoughts on Brentford so far, like, in this season, or Brighton? But to be fair, Brighton are they sixth in the league, something like that now?
They're fourth in them.
Fifth today, fifth today actually, yeah. After
carry on, my bad.
Yeah, the fifth, but the thing is, what I have noticed about Brighton, they're fifth in the league, but so far they've played Burnley, Watford, Everton, and Brentford. And the game that they've lost was against Everton, 2-0. So are they okay against the lower teams, Brighton? But they're really going to have to step up against the bigger teams, and I'm calling Everton a bigger team. So,
we've got them next, so I'm hoping that. Well, not that we're a big team, but you'd hope that. Like, I'd say we're a top 6 team, but we could.
I'm going to say I'd agree with that. I think you. I think the last few seasons, obviously, you've kind of dipped off with maybe 10, 15 games to go, but until then, you give it a good run. And I think this is. I mean, where are you in the league at the moment? Isn't it quite near you've not had a great start.
I think we're 7th.
Okay, so. Right, yeah.
But the thing is, we haven't had a great start. But I'm going to sound like the old cliche book of football here. But we've played badly in 3 out of 4 games.
Yeah.
To get 2 wins and then a draw in that's not the end of the world.
Not too bad, yeah.
So
they're the ones that you want, aren't they?
Yeah, and it's also the fact. Where did I get to? Sorry, before
you literally I was just saying about they'd been in 5th, and they've only the highest team they've played is Everton, and then you got cut off just after that.
Oh, the highest team that they've played is Everton, but we've got them next week, so it'll be interesting to see how we get on against them, because they play the same way against whoever they play, and I do think they do sort of play into the hands of bigger teams and sort of better teams by trying to play expansive football, which is probably why they do well against the lower teams. But realistically, if we want to finish in that top 6 again, which I think has got to be the realistic aim, you've got to go to places like Brighton and pick up 3 points.
Yeah. Okay. 2 games to go, Southampton, and we've got about 6 minutes left. So let's Southampton, West Ham, 0-0. I think my highlight of that game was Livramento. He's got off to a good start this season. Caught the eye of a few people, and he's another clean sheet. But Brozier, I'm not quite sure how you pronounce it, but he hit the post after a great run. He was unlucky. Rice clearing off the line in the dying seconds. And obviously, Antonio being sent off for, let's be honest, you want a yellow card, you don't make a silly tackle like that with the dying end. But was it 93rd minute, something like that? Probably one of the last touches of the game.
Stupid.
But it's great for United because we've got them next. So, works well for us, him not being available. So, you have to say.
To be fair, only Leicester make West Ham look like prime Barcelona. So, they're a tidy team, but Southampton, to be fair, I think they were one of those teams as you're heading into the season I was worried for, but they've got a lot of young players that are really stepping up this year. So I predicted them to go down this year, but I think they'll be all right, like seeing them play 2 or 3 games. So it's early days, but I wouldn't be as worried now as I would have been at the start of the season as a Southampton fan. Obviously, we've taken Ryan Bertrand and Vestergaard off them, 2 of their senior players. So I still think they're going to be there or thereabouts, sort of battling relegation, but I don't think they'll go down.
No. And in the last game, Leeds Liverpool from today, 3-0 to Liverpool. Rain, do you want to comment on
that? I think Liverpool played well. Mane I don't know what happened to that player, man. He used to be good, but now, I don't know, man. I don't know what happened to him, but I also want to say, get well soon to Harvey Elliott, man. That was
absolutely,
a really bad.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
really
all
bad
of us
injury,
that we completely echo that. I mean, he was unlucky. I mean, I don't think it was a dirty tackle. I think when you look, he did get the ball. He seemed to catch him with his trailing leg. I did feel sorry for Struijk. He shouldn't have been. I don't think he should have been sent off. We've seen. We saw the same on Luke Shaw a few years ago when he broke his leg. I mean, United fans, we were absolutely screaming, but the guy who broke his leg didn't even get a yellow card for it, went on to get man of the match in the winning goal and knock United out of the competition. But the point I'm making is it's not, I heard today that the red card was given for the after effects and not the actual tackle itself. Whilst absolutely Harvey Elliott. We'll wish him all the best and hope he makes a great recovery really quickly. Don't wish that on anybody whatsoever from any team anywhere. But was it a red? Was it a red card? I think I'm not saying that it won the game. I'm not saying that it made an impact on the result, because I think Leeds possibly, in that next season syndrome where people have seemed to have sussed them out now and they know what's coming. These don't seem to have got off to a good start this season. After getting battered by United, that was just same as last season. That was easy enough for us to do. But joking aside, they just don't seem to have been the side that they were last year when they were pushing everyone and, you score a goal, we'll score one. Just don't seem to have it.
The thing is, it's like you say, it's like with Sheffield United. When they came up, they played a unique brand of football that teams really struggled to deal with that first season. But people suss them out very quickly, where if you press Sheffield United and you didn't let their fullbacks overlap, their centre-backs overlap, then they couldn't play the way of football they're trying to play.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's the same with Leeds. They tried to play like high pressing, man-to-man marking, and then teams are just sort of sitting deeper against them and just counter-attacking them because they leave themselves completely exposed. So I don't know if they've been found out or if they've just been slightly unfortunate. So yeah. I guess time will tell.
So that's the review of the Premier League from this game week 4 weekend. Just thought we should just get people's opinions on who you think had the best debut. There was quite a few debuts out there this weekend. There was a guy called Ronaldo. You may have heard of him. Edouard, I think he came from Celtic, I think it was. Hwang Se-chun. They all scored goals on the debut. Was there any other debuts that we've missed? I think you said Vestergaard, did you? Was that his debut for Leicester?
That was his full debut, but he did play 10 minutes at the end of a Wolves game. But
he doesn't count then. He doesn't count.
Yeah, and Lookman as well, but I don't think you can include either of those in a game that we lost.
Was that his first game?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go for him then. Okay, so we'll include, so we've got Ronaldo, Edouard, Hwang Se-chan, and Ademola Lookman. Who do you think had the best debut?
I can't even make a case for Lookman here because he's the only one who weren't on a winning team. So I'll go with Edouard. I know, as I was saying before, Ronaldo will get all the headlines because he's Ronaldo and because it's Man United. But Edouard to score twice in 10 minutes in a game against Tottenham. But realistically, Tottenham were expected to go to Crystal Palace and walk that game. And I just think you couldn't have asked for a better debut. And I don't know. I'd be, as I was saying earlier, I'd be excited if I'm a Palace fan with the attacking options they've got this year.
Yeah. What do you think, Ryan? Who do you think had the best debut? No, your mic's gone off, mate. Your mic's gone off.
Sorry, sure. My mic was on mute. My bad. I think I have to give it to Edouard, man. I'm telling you, coming on and Ronaldo had a very good debut as well, but coming on and with your first touch. Or your first couple of touches scoring in the first minute you came on, and then also scoring 2 on your debut when you came on for 10-15 minutes. I think I have to give it to Edouard, but honourable mention to Ronaldo.
As a Man United fan, I'd love to give it to Ronaldo, and he was immense. He was fantastic in the game. He took a little bit of time to get into it, but I just think debut of the weekend has to go to Edouard. As we've all said, came off the bench. First touch was control. Second touch was back of the net. Not a bad way to start your career. And then to finish that off with a second goal before the game's ended within 15 minutes. I know Spurs were down to 10 men. Doesn't matter. It's not his fault. He still came on and delivered the goods. So I think we give it to Edouard. Just before we finish the show, I just want to ask you who you think, at this point, who you think will be the bottom fighting for relegation. We've got the bottom 4 at the moment. We've got Norwich, Newcastle, Burnley, and Arsenal still in that relegation battle. It's an early relegation battle, but Arsenal's next game, I think they've got Burnley's game in hand is against Arsenal. And also the game in hand is against Everton, but then they've got the next game against Arsenal, so that'll be a real relegation battle again. Arsenal against Norwich, Arsenal against Burnley, fighting to stay up. Will they keep it? Who do we think will be? Who do you think will go down this season?
It would be brilliant if it was Arsenal, wouldn't it? It would just be like the best thing going. But I think they might. I think they might just stay up, especially if they get someone like Big Sam in. I think they might just keep him in.
Big Sam, he's give up, hasn't he? He give up after his last job.
To be fair, I'd rather have Big Sam as a manager than Arteta. But no, I think it'll be Watford, Norwich. I do like Norwich, but I think they'll go down. And then I think Newcastle might get dragged into it. I really do.
I mean, I'll be honest, I've not seen that much of Burnley play, so Burnley fans, forgive me, but I just think from what the bits I have seen at the moment, have they got enough against all the other teams who are above them? I think Newcastle showed quite a bit against United, considering all the pomp and all the carnival atmosphere that they were expected to get walked over. I saw an interview with Donnelly before, and he said he was there for the moment, but he was dreading what was about to come. And in the first half, we if we'd have gone in that if Ronaldo hadn't got that goal, so could it have been different? I don't know. I think it just completely changed the atmosphere once he got that goal. And Newcastle, I think they put up a good fight. They've got Saint Maximin. He's a quality player. There's no denying his quality. And not a bad side, but whether they've got enough to stay up. So I'm going to go with Norwich. I think Brentford are going to be fighting definitely at the bottom. I think they've got it in the locker to win games, but I think they're just going to be a bit like a Sheffield United who played really well but just couldn't get it over the line. So I'm going with Norwich, Brentford, and tough decision. I'm going to go with Burnley.
I think the one thing with Burnley that the others have got is that they're sort of used to being the underdogs of every season. Everyone expects them to go down and they scrape through. So it's like, if you're going to be at that end of the table, you want Sean Dyche as your manager.
Oh yeah, he is. He's a proper man manager, isn't he? So who's your three, Ryan?
Watford, Norwich. The third one's hard. I think Brentford. I don't know why, but I have a feeling Wolves will get dragged into it. I don't know why, but I have this feeling Wolves will. But it's between Wolves and Brentford for me.
You've got me now. I think I'm going to change my Burnley to a Watford. I'm going to agree with that before we cut the transition and I get ripped for it. So I am going to go with Watford. You're right.
So I'll go Brentford. I'll go Watford, Norwich, and Brentford.
Yeah, they were the same three as me when I changed to my Watford from my Burnley. So Burnley fans, forgive me. Watford fans, probably too late. Well, so thank you. Thanks for joining us. See you next week.
Yeah.